Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Every vehicle owner aspires to have his own garage. For most, the garage is a guarantee of preventing theft of a car. Unfortunately, this is not quite true. According to statistics, a fairly large percentage of car thefts occur precisely from the garage. In addition, the car may even remain in place, but everything of any value will be taken out of it. To avoid such, to put it mildly, trouble, you need to learn something about the rules of protecting the garage from uninvited guests. What are the types of garages? There are several varieties of garages, which differ greatly in the degree of protection. The main role here is played by the material from which this room is made. Most often you can find a garage of the following types. Monolithic reinforced concrete. This is the most durable structure of this type. It is almost impossible to penetrate inside such a room without special devices quietly and quickly. Produce such structures in industrial conditions and sell them ready-made. Quite often they do not even need additional assembly. Representatives of the manufacturer's firm simply deliver this structure to the customer and install it on a pre-prepared site. This can be a freestanding room or an extension to the house. At the request of the customer, such a box can have completely different sizes. Brick. This is also quite a reliable structure, but brick walls are still somewhat easier to break through than a wall of monolithic reinforced concrete. Quite often to penetrate into such premises, burglars choose the roof and floor slabs, the integrity of which can be broken with a simple jack. Metal. As noted by experts, these are the most vulnerable structures. Particularly problematic in terms of security will be sectional and prefabricated structures. Metal garage, which has no floor and nothing fixed, can open with a jack, even a simple hooligan. In extreme cases, you can even get inside with a small dig. How you can strengthen security measures. Having acquired a garage, the owner begins to think about how to protect his garage from tampering. For this purpose, there is a fairly large variety of modern devices, and they are constantly being improved. Ways to protect the gate. No matter how fragile the walls are, burglars will first of all try to get inside the garage through the gate, and therefore it is necessary to protect them most reliably. In places where lighting is poor and often completely deserted, burglars can resort to simply tearing down the gate. Criminals attach ropes to the gate and use another vehicle to tear it down. In order to avoid such a development, care must be taken to ensure that the gate leaves from the outside are absolutely flat with no gaps or slots. Breaking in is often done with a crowbar, using the pushing method. The crowbar is inserted between the swing gate leaves and can be counteracted by welding an additional strip of metal. The gate itself should be welded from iron at least 3 millimeters thick, and it is recommended to make the box and all other frames from channel number 6. The gate box should be attached very firmly to the garage walls. On the back side of the gate leaves, it is important to install additional stiffeners. In addition to the construction of the gate itself, locks and hinges will be quite important for safety. Hinges. The first thing to pay attention to is the most reliable hinges. They can also be additionally reinforced. You can do this by welding bolts. Such actions will help to somewhat complicate the break-in, but they cannot completely secure the car. Burglars can saw off the heads of the bolts with a bolt saw or knock them down with a chisel. The most reliable option is to install internal hinges, which are similar in design to car hinges. Unfortunately, this is a rather labor-intensive process. Locks. Lock picking is the most common way to break into the garage, which means that you should pay maximum attention to this point. The lock is installed on an additionally welded plate with a thickness of approximately 2.5 millimeters or directly on the frame of the door leaf. If the lock is hinged, it is best to install a special cover around it. This will not be a panacea, but still significantly complicate the task of a burglar. Specialists recommend mortise locks, but warn against locks that can be opened from the gut without a key. When selecting a lock, you need to follow some rules. The reliability class of the lock is not lower than 3. The material from which the lock is made, steel with a thickness of 3 millimeters. Locks and keys should be numbered. This indicates their uniqueness. Read also, Features of the correct check of the oil level in manual transmissions. All fasteners for the locks should be as strong as possible. It is highly desirable to install several locks at once. This is best done at a distance of 30 centimeters. If funds allow, it is possible to equip the door with locks that open only synchronously and otherwise block each other, or with locks with alarms triggered by vibration. Installing several locks should not be too hard, as the weather is different, and in winter there may be a situation when the owner will not be able to open all the locks. Additional protection measures in addition to the gate. As mentioned earlier, the floor and ceiling of the garage can become vulnerable places. Here, too, it is very important to take additional protection measures. To exclude a digging, it is important for the owner of the garage premises to concretize the floor with reinforcement. It is very important to make a steel batten on the floor and on the ceiling, which will reliably fasten the walls of the floor and ceiling floor slabs. There are many ways to reinforce the floor and walls. Everything will depend on the financial capabilities of the owner. Electronic methods of protection today. The most effective way to protect against burglary will be the installation of electronic alarm systems. Modern technology allows you not to bother with pulling wires and use special radio channels. Independent security will quickly install such an alarm system, and if there is the slightest suspicion to the garage in a few minutes, will arrive armed detachment. Intruders will be detained and taken to the police. The owner will be notified of the attempted burglary by phone or SMS. Tips from garage owners. Many motorists who have faced the problem of garage break-ins offer this advice before buying a place for a garage. Familiarize yourself with the area. Find out how quiet the neighborhood is, how often other owners are in the garages. Check the level of light. If there are doubts, it is better to look at other offers. Try to connect the walls of your garage with the walls of your neighbors. Install a howler system in the garage, which will definitely attract the attention of other drivers and scare off burglars. The most effective way is to place your garage in a well-protected area. Read also. Installation and connection of car TV with their own hands. What threatens garage burglars? Every sensible person understands that breaking into a garage is a crime, which means that there is a penalty for it. If property was stolen from the garage, then according to our legislation, administrative responsibility is completely excluded, and this is regardless of the amount for which the property was stolen. This is regulated by Article 158, Part 2 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation. Depending on the severity of the crime, burglars may face penalties from 200,000 rubles or the amount of earnings for 18 months, 480 hours of compulsory labor, up to 2 years of correctional labor, up to 5 years of labor, often with restriction of liberty for up to 1 year, up to 5 years imprisonment, up to 10 years, if the damage was done on a particularly large scale. When determining the punishment, the court takes into account the severity of the crime and all additional circumstances of the case. Terms of imprisonment can be both with restriction of freedom and in the form of a suspended sentence. The order of actions of the owner of the garage after the discovery of the fact of a break-in. If you suddenly found that the garage door has signs of forced entry, you should immediately contact the police and call their staff. The arriving squad is obliged to record the incident on the available traces of burglary and on the basis of filing a report. The victim will need to write a statement to law enforcement. To the execution of the document, our legislation does not impose any specific requirements, but it must contain the following information. It will need to be made in writing, where the full name, place of residence, contact information should be indicated. Describe the accident itself, where and when it was committed. Specify all available data on the vehicle, especially noting its special features, tuning, dents, scratches, etc. List the damage caused as precisely as possible. Note when you last saw your property and when you found it missing. A burglary case will only be initiated if you have such a report or if you have made a statement. It is worth checking this point, otherwise you may miss valuable time. It is very important not to touch anything at the scene of the crime, as there is a possibility of inadvertently destroying evidence. In the event that there is any information about the burglars, or at least suspicions, they should also immediately inform the police. At home, you should find all available documents that can confirm the damage caused. This will be necessary for the court and for the appointment of punishment. Procedure for bringing criminals to justice. After an incident report has been filed, or if the victim has filed an application, a criminal case should be opened. Unfortunately, it may happen that the case will not be opened immediately, but a preliminary check will be assigned. This procedure may take from 3 to 10 days. Sometimes, after such a check, the police refuse to open a case because there is no corpus delicti. If you receive a refusal, but do not agree with this decision, you should contact the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor will return the available documents to the police and appoint a more thorough check of the circumstances of the case. In addition, the victim has the right to complain to the prosecutor's office and on the investigation process, and on individual procedural moments. In conclusion, protecting your garage against burglary is essential for safeguarding your belongings and enhancing your overall home security. By implementing these key rules, such as installing robust locks, utilizing motion sensor lights, and maintaining a clutter-free environment, you can significantly reduce the risk of unauthorized access. Remember, a proactive approach to security not only protects your garage, but also contributes to the safety of your entire home. Stay vigilant and take the necessary steps to secure your space. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.